Shalom. Shalom. So I'm up earlier than usual, but was in a dream and woke up, I guess, talking in my sleep. You know, like the words that I caught myself saying is this is why I feel like a stepchild. And it's like, wow. Dealing with trauma or things that have occurred in my youth has not been, I guess, always an easy thing. Um, it's definitely been something that's been challenging in a battle. I hear a lot of people nowadays talking on epigenetics, and I get it. I'm ignorant to the full meaning of epigenetics, but I'm not oblivious to be able to see certain patterns, a lot of things that are very circular to me. It's like keep happening, keep happening, keep happening. And so a lot of times we are told that generational curse is what they should be labeled. And it's like, man, it seems like it's just imprinted on people's DNA, on their character, on the way they move. And then you see someone in that same family that does not have the same issues, the same trauma, basically not battle with the same exact things. They could be rose up in the same household. But again, of course, they had different things occur for them. So they deal with different traumas. So, Abiyah, thank you for just allowing me just to try to work on me, trying to heal me. I thank you for the video that I was sent to me by someone that was basically trying to, encourage me to build on myself and work on me. Uh, you know, I hear it. I hear it. I've been working on me. I've been ministering to myself for a long time. You know, a lot of the men that I've sat up under have not been able to trust because they've manipulated that situation. So Yah has set me to the side, and I thank you, Yah, for ministering to me and bringing me to even to the point where I'm at age 53. I'm getting to the end of my race, but I'm still growing, and I'm thankful for that, Yah. I'm still learning healing, still seeing myself in a lot of situations and not always projecting it back on the person that made me feel that way. Seeing why it in me is allowing me to feel that way. I thank you, Yah, for just working with me to see things, to be able to be an empath. I don't want to always consume and take in the feelings of others, but it has, helped me mature in some areas. Still got ways to go. Thank you, Yah, for that. But let me get to, I guess, discussing some things and sharing some things. So first, since I'm speaking of epigenetics, let's look up the definition. Yada Yahuwah. Let's look up the definition of what epigenetics is, because I'm again ignorant of it. So might as well see what they say it is and then share from what I'm getting, I guess. So it says epigenetics is the study of changes in gene expression that occur without altering the DNA sequence. The Greek prefix epi means over, outside of, around. And epigenetics implies features that are on top of or in addition to the traditional DNA sequence. Okay. Definitions. The term epigenesis has a generic meaning of extra growth that has been used in English since the 17th century, and the specific publications, the term epigenetics started to appear in the 1930s. See figure on the right. However, it's contemporary. It's not very visible, but let's look at mechanisms, covalent modification of either DNA, cytosine methylation, and hydromethylation or histone proteins. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop that because I'm still ignorant. I don't get all of that. I'm one of these uneducated brothers out here, I guess. So I'm gonna just talk on some of the stuff that I noticed in scripture and in my own life, I guess. You know, I've said on numerous occasions that my father, I only met the man or physically seen him about 5 times in my life. And he always made promises and never, never met those promises really. They failed over and over. And so easily I could have been like that man and you know, and that'd be a failure of mine. But with me, my word is my bond. If I tell you something, I mean to do it. I'm anal about trying to make sure I do what I say I'm going to do. That thing that was put on me, definitely, I did not want to put that out. Many people would make little jokes as a child that, oh, you're gonna be just like your father. See, my father spent a lot of time in jail. I did do a lot of things like him. My father wrote poetry. I started writing poetry, didn't even know he wrote poetry. But then when I put my poetry out there, people say, oh, your father used to write poetry. I was a whoremonger. And so people let me know, oh, your father was a whoremonger. So I had a lot of reason to not like myself. And I really didn't like myself. I didn't feel liked by people and didn't like myself either because, my value depended on what other people thought. Now it doesn't, and if it does, it's just a little bit. It ain't as much as it was before. Now I kind of have a FU type mindset or whatever, and people say I'm hardened or, and that is very much true because there was a period of time that I got very hard, took on a name or the nickname Trey 8, and I was a danger. Some people remember me from my neighborhood or what because I basically took an alias and started doing stuff that was contrary to what people knew me of. No, I used to be bullied as a child, but I didn't bully per se those the weak. I went after people that was supposed to be strong. I messed with bullies. I was very evil at that time, but I felt almost like Robin Hood or something like that, because I was messing with people that mess with people. And I felt at ease with that, but I didn't feel complete with that because I could not be very caring. You know, a lot of times I've compromised to make things work, I guess. In the dream last night, I was, I guess, around family to be around family. They don't come to me, so I had to go to them. And so in that, I'd have to deal with a lot of people that treated me bad, not allowing them to, I guess, bully me like they used to, but they still had things to say out of their mouth and stuff like that. And, I took it and to the point I couldn't. I would sit up under it and hear what they said, and then eventually it would make me leave, because I didn't want to violently or physically deal with them in a way that I knew that I could because I become bigger. When I was smaller, they used to, force themselves, beat me or do whatever, but they couldn't do that anymore. But they still would verbally get at me. And whenever I got tired of hearing the negativity or what they were saying, I would leave. But it would draw me away from the people that I even wanted to be around because these places that I went were the gathering spots or whatever. You know, the home that I was raised in, I really don't like going over there. Now my mother lives there and I still don't like going there. The reason why I didn't go there, the person that mistreated me the most no longer is alive. And I still love them. But I don't, I can't feel comfortable. I don't feel wanted in that place. Um, you know, my mom has people there sometimes that, I had a key, they'd be like, well, why you go coming over here? It'd be many times I would come over there and shovel snow, do this, and it's me in there. And it's like, it would frustrate me because I'm coming from my home to do things to assist my mother, but it's males there that not doing it. Didn't just don't understand it. But not gonna make it just about me. Let's move and let's talk. Abraham, Father Abraham. When you look into his own situation with his father, most people reject the book of Jasher, but in that situation, it was prophesied that this young man or this child being born would be basically a game changer. And Nimrod, all his wise men told him, this child would challenge your authority or would replace you in your greatness. So Nimrod wanted that baby dead. The father of Abraham basically was, told, hey, give up your child and I'm going to give you all this riches and all this authority, but give up the child. He ended up giving up one of his servants' child, and Nimrod smashed the baby down, just like, throwing a football down after scoring a touchdown. And he went on like nothing happened. But again, the child that was given by Abraham's dad was one of his servants' child and not his own. He hid his child away. Child was hid away with Moses and Shem. I mean, not Moses, excuse me, Noah and Shem. Let me get it right. And they raised that boy up a little bit. And then it got discovered that, hey, the father of Shem, I mean, of Abraham never destroyed his son. And that upset Nimrod. But skip past all that. Let's move forward. Abraham basically, by the biblical narrative, let's move over to the 66, moves away with his wife and his nephew from his homeland due to Yah telling him to move. This man has no children with him at that time. Now, other books say that he had daughters and stuff, many daughters, but the biblical record doesn't notate any of that. It basically said he left with his wife and he left with his nephew, so he had no children with him. This man's name is Abram and changed to Abraham, and he's supposed to be a father of many. So once he has a son, it's with a a servant. Actually, she actually, Hagar actually was a princess or a daughter of Pharaoh, but you know, she's his servant. Him and his wife's servant. And the son Ishmael is not the promised son, but that's his first son that's listed. The relationship with this son is distant. It's not really loving. More like almost like his relationship with his own father. You could say that something that's generational, but the thing is though, when him and his wife Sarah had a child years later, this child Yitzhak or Isaac, now Abraham becomes father of the year. He's a whole different father. He's close with this child, pouring into him and everything. So you see his gene or DNA or mode, you can see him doing what was done to him sort of with the first son, but he was able to be a better father with the second son. Hmm. Me, myself, I look at my first marriage. My two children, I tried to pour into them and tried to be better than what I received. But then, the woman I was with is different, and stuff like that. And I can't blame it on her, but it just was not the same as what the marriage that I'm in now. And the relationship with the children is not the same as the relationship I have. I have two children from my first marriage and two children from my second. So it's like, wow. And I don't feel that I ever play favoritism. But of course, some of the harm and hurt that came from my first marriage altered how I dealt with the second. You know, I'm sometimes cold or feel cold or I'm more harsh or more firm. I in my first marriage I was under the indoctrination of happy wife, happy life, and that the more I tried to make that woman happy, the more miserable I was because there was no pleasing or making her happy. And I started really understanding you can't make someone happy that's unhappy. When I've been unhappy, my current wife, she can't make me happy. I have to get in the right frame of mind and trust Yah and start being happy. Happiness is a choice because you're going to always have stuff going on. You're going to have to choose to be happy. I could choose to just stay wrapped up in my past and, oh, woe is me, or I can move forward. And I must say, I'm not the best at doing it, but at times I move forward. Yes, my dreams kick my tail. Yes, life sometimes kicks my tail, but then I had to pull back. Yesterday, me and my wife, it's a sunny day in the cold. The sun ain't making it hot because it's cold. So you look out the window and it looks beautiful, but we went out in it. No, it was cold still, very cold. But I was with my wife. Did a little shopping, did little ran some errands and stuff like that. We really, the thought was, why are we even out in this? But we were together. And though we were doing tasks, it was a very happy time. I was spending time with my wife. I was very happy doing just trivial tasks because I chose to be happy and I was with someone that chose to be happy with me. Happiness is a choice. Again, let's get back on the focus, the epigenetic thing. I'm ignorant to it, but still, I can see how things that happen to someone before you can affect you. When you look at the bondage that mentally and physically that the Israelite consistently is in circular. The sin nature that Israel, we have a, and especially Yahuda has a draw towards worshiping things or idolizing things and putting things in the place of Yah. Man, it just happens that way. Moving off of Abraham and looking at Moses. Man, Moses was sent away from his family to save him, but still sent away. And you might well say he was orphaned in a sense. He wasn't orphaned, but he was sent away in a basket of reeds down the river away from his family. Yeah, his mother got to nurse him, because they found the Hebrew word woman to nurse the Hebrew child, and it happened to be his mother. But another family raised him. He was an Egyptian by all means, though he was not Egyptian. He was raised in that culture, away from his family. Yeah, he may have learned some Hebrew, but he was more Egyptian than he was Hebrew for 40 years because he knew everything about the Egyptians, raised as a prince of Egypt. He was not raised as an Israelite or a Hebraic cultured individual. He knew about it because they were oppressing him. He probably didn't recognize who he was in most things, because he was normally doing Egyptian things. That's why I really believe when it talks about him, basically stuttering or stammering, he wasn't fluent with the language because he didn't have to use it regularly. His regular talk was mostly to Egyptians. He rarely had to talk to the slave people. And then even after he, called himself protecting one, he ends up in the desert for 40 years with a Midianite. Yes, a descendant of Abraham, but still not a Hebraic or not a Israelite. So his dialogue and conversation, even in that time, they said he was a king, and Yasher said he was a king of Ethiopia. He's got all these different cultures that he's around and he's communicating with. When does he really have time or experience in communicating with his own people? So when he comes around his people, they don't want him. They're like, this outsider, who put him over us? He has to deal with being wanted by Yah, but rejected by his people. Again, Yah has shown me over and over he wants me. But when I deal with assemblies, ministries, and stuff like that, if I don't go along to get along, they don't want me. They want me to submit and a lot of times compromise my morals to be down with them. They don't want me to ever question or ask, about things. When all through the book, you see even Moses, you see Abraham, you see Job able to question the Most High and he not feel threatened. But when I have willingly set myself under people that really should have been my peers and not my leader, because some people won't allow you to be their peer. They will only deal with you or only build relationship with those that will submit to them, that they can control. When you seek to be friends with somebody or a true ak or brother, but they only have love for you as long as you're obedient to them or falling in line with their program, that's something. That's something. But Moses, his own brother, basically, if you really look at the narrative, Aaron was undermining Moses over and over again. Because Aaron probably wondered why I'm not the leader. I'm the older brother, and I'm the high priest. But Moses was supposed to be like Elohim to Aaron. Aaron's supposed to listen to him. But when I read other books or whatever, you kind of see where Aaron, seeing that he had to be the mouthpiece, he the one was fluent in the Hebraic language. A lot of times, he didn't always share exactly what Moses was saying to the people. He shared what Moses said to a point, but he emphasized on some things that a lot of times was not what Yah wanted to be emphasized. Moses was supposed to cater to the Most High, but Aaron was so worried about catering to the people. That's why that man was able to. He built up this golden calf or whatever, because he we want to cater to the people. The Most High wanted Aaron dead at that time, but if it wasn't for Moses interceding, he probably would have been. Aaron had lost favor with the Most High real early in the situation, but Moses kept championing for him. It's like, hey, I need him. And the people related more to Aaron than it was to Moses. Moses constantly had people challenging him, even his own brother Aaron and Miriam, his sister, challenging him. Moses was dealing with a lot of rejection all the time, to the point that you can even see it revealed in his own family, that not they were his family, but his family, him and his wife and his children. And, you see his wife, would come around and she see him dealing with the people all the time, but he got his own family right there. So his two sons, basically, if you look at it modernly, you could say he was a deadbeat dad. But Yah doesn't seem that way. He was not a great influence. We don't hear about what kind of men his sons became. We hear about the sons of Aaron, but we don't hear about the sons of Moses, because his sons and his wife constantly kept getting sent back to Midian. And Midian was a high character person, so they might have came up and been great men or whatever, or had some moral character about them, a good foundation, because they had their granddad or their mother's father dealing with them. But what did Moses really pour into them? Because he was so busy pouring into the people. We should hear something, but again, the book is focused on the Hebraic thing. We don't know nothing about those sons in their adulthood life. It's not documented. And if it is, it's documented in other books, not in the 66 we call the Bible. But man, this man who did not have a connection with his biological family, again, his biological family really didn't have a connection with him. Move forward. Man, Dawid was one of many children, but Samuel was looking for a son of Jesse, or Yishi, that Yah would elevate to the level of king. And Yishi pulls all these sons, pop, 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 to the point that he acts like, oh, I'm done. But Samuel, like, don't you got one more? But the sheep herding boy, him? Oh, man, come on, David, go get David. David was almost like an afterthought, not to Yah, but an afterthought to his own father. His brother's basically like, what you doing at the battle? Oh, you bringing me sandwiches? Man, why don't you shut up? Stop messing with that giant. David was a champion, but you wouldn't believe that his family seen him as such until they seen him as such. When Yah chose him, then okay, now he gets a little bit of respect because he got a position and stuff like that. But before that, they looked over that boy. Yah didn't look over him. Yah viewed him as someone having a heart after his own. But you can't tell me that the deficiencies in relationship with his father didn't affect his deficiencies in his relationship as being a father. A lot of his lifetime flaws occurred as him being a father. You know, after the situation with Bathsheba, which was a flaw, man, his children got to going ziggity boom, and he didn't respond well to a lot of the stuff. You know what? One son that's from one woman wanted the daughter from another woman to serve her, and he sent her there, and that son rapes her, and her brother, his other son, wants to kill that one. All this stuff, it's a lot of stuff going on. His son, one of the son that lash out, what ends up sleeping with a lot of his 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 concubines and wives and stuff like that. You know, just so much going on. Dysfunction, dysfunction. This man basically had children that had no reverence for him. Yeah, he was king, but his own family had no reverence for him. Everybody calling out his name and stuff like that as a king, but in his family situation, it's messed up. Is this due to that neglect or that this rejection that was going on with him as a child and as a young adult that it passed on? I'm like, you just keep reading and you keep seeing how, these wonderful men of Yah, their relationship with their own children and stuff like that, just like, whoa, whoa. And nowadays we would judge a man on that. Even, you look at some of the Brit Hadashahs there, man, who can't maintain his household is not fit to lead. But over and over, we see some of the greatest men in the Tanakh had issues maintaining their household. I'm like, let's back it up. Look at Yosef. He got two wives. And I'm one that preaches that polygyny is okay because it's in the Bible. But the relationship with his children is something. I'm like, his first son should be his first son. That should be the one, that's going to get the reverence and stuff like that. But that first son end up sleeping with his concubine. When he get down to his 11th son, he favored him over all the 10 before. Oh man, he treating him special to the point that all of them 10 before, like, we hate him. They hated their sibling, wanted to kill him. Then, when they did do something to him, the 12th son, he back doing it again. Like, no, nobody can touch him. No, he can't go. Man, that's something when you got siblings and you can see the favoritism that your father is towards that. Like, man, you let something happen to me, but nothing, don't let nothing happen to him. You talking about you gonna die if something happened to him. Man, that I can see why they don't like him. And mind you, reflects on me. I'm raised in my grandmother's home, and my first cousin, younger than me, he get all these gifts. I may get one. He tear mine up, and I can't touch his without consequences. He hit me, I can't hit him back. He'd do whatever. And though I loved him, I didn't like him. It feels so awkward to be jealous or envious of somebody younger than you because you have your grandmother and their grandmother, and you say, "Oh well, he lost his mother early." Well, my mother had to pour into him more than me, even to this day. My mother's he's probably closer to my mother than I am close to my mother. And I'm like, now I'm like, but it is what it is. You know, I felt very much uncovered as a child. I got bullied on a regular, and that wasn't just by people in the street, that's by my family. And people see it and say nothing. I learned to have to defend myself. So I know how to roll by myself. If you see me on Facebook battling with people, I'm by myself. And maybe it may be that I'm wrong sometimes. Sometimes I admit that I was wrong. I come back and admit it, but I know I have to fight for myself. When I became a union rep, because I had to fight for myself, and then I began fighting for others, but I don't have people fighting for me. No one goes out of their way to love is how I feel. And that might not be true, but that's how I've learned to feel. Now my wife, she goes out of her way to love. So I'm like, so when people think I'll be telling a story or whatever, I'm not letting nothing happen to her. Not that I can control, but I'm not in control. Yah is. But I'm going to defend. So I will lay down my life for her because she's the most valuable thing that I have in my, because she makes me feel she values me. So I will go. You cannot disrespect my wife in front of me. You can't do that. You will see something out of me that you've never seen. This 280 will become a monster. Everything that's been in me that I wanted to let out will come out. I don't play when it comes to my wife. I may let you get over on me, but I don't play when it comes to her because that's the gift that God, the Yah, I'm not, forgive me for saying, almost saying God. That's the gift that Yah's given me. Again, I don't have many people that place me high or, and so when someone does, I appreciate it. I have a couple of friends now that let me know, that I'm loved. Very few. And so I'm very appreciative. My brother Lamar, is very esteemed to me. He's somebody I very much view as a high character person. And he makes sure to let me know he respects me. He goes out his way, makes sure that he keeps in contact. I got other people that do, Zion, but I don't have that people who I've sown so much into. Not that I ever need them to match my energy or whatever, but sometimes it just feels good to be appreciated. You know, my Zakeem that I did with Craig, he lets me know, oh man, he loves my work or whatever. He puts me to work on stuff or whatever. He's like, can you do this? You know, and he lets me know I love your work, whatever. And so he knows that my love language is, words of affirmation is one of them, but also physical touch. So he'll hug, I ain't hugged you today. He come checks on me every once in a while. Sometimes he got his own things going on too. But when we do connect, And, I got others, I'm real tight with my brother LaRue, but, I want him to focus on his marriage, because I was there when, you know, he was going through the long-term effects of his previous marriage, a divorce. So I want him to focus on that. So I don't lean on him that often. He used to lean on me, you know. Anyway, there are people that I'm connected with, so I'm not just isolated. I do have some people, but some of the people that I sought to be close with, you know, a lot of them betrayed that you know, it was very one-sided, and it does hurt. I've lost so many friends and so many relationships because I'm a man of morals and character. My word is my bond, and it bothers me. And I let people know it bothers me when they say stuff and it doesn't match up. And I don't cut them off. I'm just letting you know that bothers me. That hurts me. And people will let me know, well, everybody can't live to your standards. And I get that. But just as you want someone to be a certain way towards you, I can also ask that you be a way towards me. Again, you're going to choose and do how you want to do. I can't control you, but you also can't control me. I shouldn't have to be in relationships and feel like I'm walking on eggshells when I'm, just showing you or telling you something out of love. Or every time it's amazing how many times in relationships I'll tell somebody something that I see, and now their response is, well, this about you. Well, that about me, if that's really an issue, that's been there all the while and you never said nothing. You're just saying something in retaliation and response to what I've said. You're trying to hurt me, not trying to help me. You're trying to back me off of you. So now you'll say something. And I wish that, I desire that you say those things when you first see it or in the process of seeing, not as a response to what I said. Because I do have some things in my DNA, in my relationships of the past that I reflected today that I need to work on. But now that you're bringing it out only as a response to me trying to help you, you're not trying to help me, you're trying to hurt me. Again, as I look at this book we call the Bible, I'm seeing a lot of hurt people. And these hurt people are not working to hurt people. They're working to help people. So people can talk about me being a man that's dealing with trauma. But even with me dealing with trauma, I'm not trying to add trauma to other people's life. I'm actually trying to be a servant and help people. My empathizing and me having feelings, maybe it's due to my rearing, but I don't want people to walk the same path that I walk. When I went through my divorce, I would try to tell so many people about how it was. And people say, well, why you're 23 years and you still talking about this stuff? Yeah, I still got the wounds. But I don't speak on it in a sense to say, you gonna get this. No, I'm trying to assist people not to walk in the same path that I walk, not to bump their head on the same low hanging fruit that I did. I'm trying to assist you to do better and not become bitter because I can see it many times that it's been trying to be impressed on me to become bitter and not have the happy days. Honestly, after my first marriage, I didn't think I would be married again. But again, I'm finna be 23 years into marriage now, and I'm happy. still deal with issues. I got daddy issues. I even got mama issues. Anybody know I love my mom, but I don't know how to be close back to that situation as much. And my cousin has a greater relationship probably with my mother than I do. You know, I can send funds or whatever, and sometimes, like I said, I used to go over and shovel snow, whatever, and stuff like that. But it was frustrating when I would see my other cousin, other friend, males over there, and I'm like, why am I coming over here and it's men here? You know, I tell people all the time, I praise my mom on so many things. I open doors for women that are not my woman, and it not for any type of romantic or me trying to gain affections from these women. No, my mama taught me that. Yesterday we were, when we were out, me and my wife were out. A woman, she had an elderly woman by herself. She had water there, and I lifted it up, put it in her car. She thanked me and everything, and to even thank my wife for allowing her to borrow her husband. But my mama taught me that. A lot of the stuff my mama taught me was very well, but of course, some of my issue comes in is that I wish there would have been a man provided to teach me a lot of man things that my mama couldn't teach me. But that's not how the family makeup was. My family that I came out of was very matriarchal. And they, again, my grandmama taught me, if you want anything done well, get a woman. I really don't feel like my grandmother did much to build my esteem as a man at all. Not as a husband at all. And that does not mean she didn't love me, but a lot of the things that she said towards me and did towards me made me devalue myself. I didn't have the best relationship with my grandmother, but that does not mean she didn't love me. That doesn't mean I don't love her. Didn't love her. A lot of times my friends would come over and she would basically humiliate. And people I called my friends, enjoyed coming over just to hear her stang on me, as we could call it. She would talk about me bad sometimes, and my friends thought it was it. People I called my friends thought it was entertaining. So a lot of times I didn't want people to come around because to me that wasn't fun to be humiliated and not be able to respond. But again, I love this woman. So honestly, being in love with abusive women, that's something that I learned. And so the abuse of my first marriage, basically, I take credit for it because that's what I learned to love. And when I finally learned that that's not okay, of course that affected, I got a better situation now. But again, what you allow as a man, you're responsible for. I was blaming. I'm not trying to blame my ex-wife, or whatever, and stuff like that. I'm not trying to blame my grandmother, but I didn't know. I wish I'd have had a man there to show me some things. And again, if I did, I probably would not know Yah. So I guess I can't. I can't. I can't get to the point that I'm up there. Like, oh man, woe is me. I wish. I can't live on that or whatever because I probably would not know Yah if I would have had a man in my life. All of these things occurred to make me be where I'm at, and I have to appreciate that and not be mad at people that basically probably had issues themselves. I've found a lot of women have had men do them wrong or use their strength and their ability to harm women. So women are fretful of men, and so sometimes in raising the next generation of men, they try to raise them with that part missing, and you know that's where they come up with these terms like toxic masculinity. Masculinity is not toxic, but it's some of the things that males have done that they consider masculine, but that's not masculine. It's not masculine to be, manipulating women. It's not masculine to sleep with just any and everybody. That's not masculine. That's whoremongering. You know, it's not masculine to say you're gonna do something. When my father would make all of those promises and never keep, that's not masculine. Your word should be your bond. Not showing up is not, that they'll say, "Oh man, deadbeat men." That's not all men. Majority of men nowadays don't even have. I know of quite a few men that don't even have children. Usually, the ones that have children are the ones that most popular or whatever is like that. But it's a lot of men that don't fit in that realm. There's a lot of men that are very responsible and have no children. We don't, people don't count things, because I'm like, man, I know guys that are irresponsible that have a whole slew of children, and they seem like with multiple different women. So it's like, man, you got 10 different women with this guy, one guy who has 10 children, 13 children, 10 different women and one guy. So they these women saying, "Oh, all men ain't nothing," but that one guy is the one in common. That's the one that ain't nothing. Not their brother, not their daddy, not their not their friends or whatever. The dude they friend zone, but they whole conversation that men ain't nothing is based on this one guy. Why all of the guys have to take the hit for this one guy that y'all all chose? Man, it's amazing how we knowing a whole lot of different women that have the same baby daddy. Like, huh? What made that dude attractive? And he ain't doing. Why y'all choose him? Maybe he was a drug dealer, maybe he's an athlete or whatever. But like, huh? You already know he a bad father, and you still and so now it's his fault that he a deadbeat when he was a deadbeat when you chose him or when you let him choose you. But he got that package, he got that money, he got that swag, and that was enough for you to hook up with him. Man, a lot of times you find out with them the same thing is going on. Their mothers catered to that type of a man, so now that's what they seen around. So man ain't nothing because that's what they seen around. So that's what they're drawn to. So just like me as a man have past things affect me, they're having that too. And you gotta sit back. When you sit back and start looking at it like, man, oh, your limited vision is because you had limited vision. If all you know is Flint, Michigan, all you know is Flint, Michigan. Man, when I started traveling outside of Flint, I'm like, whoa, whoa. I'm like, man, I've never really seen unity that often, or I see fake unity and stuff like that. And I've never seen this just, abundance of positive melanin people. Man, you go over to the Bahamas and ooh, it's an abundance of beautiful, positive, smiling, happy people. You know, a lot of times you walk around Flint and you see a male and you don't know him. They hard face. I speak to men, just like, how you doing, sir? Just to break, I'm walking in the store. I see a man, if they catch, how you doing, sir? Because a lot of times in the past, when somebody caught eyes with you, you had to make sure, like, You had to have that firm stone face or whatever, like, I ain't no punk. No, I'm like, how you doing, sir? I speak to folks now, because I'm like, I'm not looking to be adversarial towards them. I want to be warm and welcoming. How you doing, sir? You know, because I'm having a good day. I don't want to reflect a negative day when I'm good. I'm happy. I don't always have to have a big smile on my face, but I still say, "How you doing?" Even when I have just a normal face. How you doing? You know, because I'm like, I don't have no issue with you. I don't know you, and it don't take me much to just say, "Hey, how you doing?" Because I caught eye contact with you. I'm not trying to beef with you. How you doing? Maybe I'm the friendly guy now, but I'm this big 6'4" guy, 280. So people always used to tell me, "Oh, you so threatening looking." So I'm, hey, guard down. How you doing? You know, shalom. you know, huh? I'm not trying to be hard all the time. Well, I ain't trying to be no punk either, but I'm like, I'm like, I don't know. I want to have joy. I want to be happy. I choose to be happy and not, be bitter. I got a lot that I could see. Oh, I don't want to be that. I'm getting older and I don't want to be the grumpy old man. You know, I want to be someone that people remember and love. Some people say, why does it matter? It matters to me. It don't matter to you. Fine. You know, I, I don't want to be the person that nobody likes and stuff like that. But again, if that is my call to be, then I'm gonna deal with that. But I don't want to be that. I like being liked, but I'm not gonna do or I'm not gonna compromise just to be liked. I'm not. Nah. But hey, I'm still gonna be helpful. You know, I sold out many love things of love. Still sewing people money, still sewing people with goods and stuff like that because that's me. That's me. And all of the things that's me wasn't learned. All the things aren't generational because again, I didn't have a father, but I think I try to be a great father. I'm always trying to encourage my children and tell them that I'm proud of. And that does not mean that I won't have some moments that I'm disappointed with. And I even share that I'm disappointed, but I let them know it's just a moment that I'm disappointed. In the totality, I'm proud of you. I could be disappointed of a moment that don't mean. Now, a lot of times when people told me they were disappointed, they would pull everything away from me, all the affections, all everything else. No, I would never know that I'm accepted after that moment. But no, my children, I try to let them know, "Yeah, I'm disappointed in this moment, but I still love you. I'm still here for you. If you need me, I'm here. If I could sow into all these other people, you think I will sow way more into my own. Yes, because I'm a sower, I'm a giver. I'm not one to be used, but I love mine. When I see my children excelling, I love them, and so I'm trying to pour into them. They make they see me as the lecture dude and stuff like that. You be talking your head off. I think now my middle daughter, she listens to me more than she's ever listened to me before. And I swear, I be watching her video and I be hearing stuff that I taught. I be like, yeah, that's my baby. She be saying some of the stuff that I be saying, and I be like, man, she getting it because I'm training her up to be, I not independent. It's sad though. My wife was talking about it. Man, I'm like, man, I don't see many of the men around me, Hebrew men, with sons that I view as viable husbands. You know, that's around her age or whatever. I'm like, man, and that's probably because I'm not connected with people that much like I'm supposed to be. But I'm like, man, I don't know the character of many of the young men around. A lot of them probably are all doing. I know some of them are already espoused or whatever. I'm like, man, I see all these daughters though. A lot of the Hebraic men I deal with, daughters, daughters, daughters. But I'm like, man, where the sons? I'm like, man, well, you know, now I got two grandsons, got a granddaughter too. Got two grandsons. I definitely want to raise them up to be great men so they can one day be great husbands. And they can, you know, offset this matriarchal thing that I was raised in and return to the patriarchy, but also return to being men, not just men of words, but letting their word be their bond. You know, what you say out your mouth should mean something, and you shouldn't. I don't know. And so many people make these little small lies to me and stuff like that. It's like, man, you devalue me listening to you. And I'm gonna come. I'm gonna do this. After a while, it's like, not even. Look. I got people that I invite to stuff, and I know they ain't never coming. And in my mode of operation is just my thoughts would be like, man, stop inviting them. But it's like, no, I'm gonna keep. But honestly, I know they ain't coming because they consistent. And people say let people be who they are. I let people be who they are, but I can't help but see this is who you are. Mad thing though that gets me is that people don't see I am who I am. My word is my bond. If I done told you something, you know, people be, oh, you calling me? We just talk. I said I was gonna call you back, or I was gonna call you. Oh, you gave me. I said I was gonna do it. I don't put my word out there on stuff that it if I know I'm not knowing for sure I'm gonna be able to do it, I don't even say it. I don't like putting promises out there that I don't think I can keep. So I don't put my word towards. I don't vouch for stuff that I don't believe in or whatever. I vouch for things that, like, I put it out there about this chase thing that I was looking into because I do the bank bonuses and stuff like that when you start checking accounts and stuff. I do that for extra money and stuff through the years. And so I was like, let me share this with people. But of course, a lot of people, is it real? Is it a scam? And I'm like, hey, you don't even got to go through me. You can go straight to the website yourself and see it's there. I'm just trying to help people. I ain't asked for, give me $50 out of, I ain't asked for nothing. Whenever I try to help people, people are always looking, oh, what are he trying to get out of? People don't trust me. And I've never done anything for them not to trust me. But I do realize that people listen to other folks and they take that for your character. I've had many people, oh, people told me you were shifty. You can't be trusted. And I'm like, based on what? And I'm like, well, okay, from your own experience, now that you've been around me, do you find what they said to be accurate? Well, no. Well, I believed it at first. I'm like, why do people like to put their mouth on? You know, but again, I can't control that. If you know my family, of course, you might know. I got family that have been shifty. Look, I had a relative that one of my friends, somebody I called a friend, I want to have him around, and I'm like, look, don't do that. He gonna rob you. Ah, nah, he wouldn't do that to me, and that's your cousin, and he robbed me. He gonna rob you. Ah, nah, nah. Okay. As soon as they rob him, I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna do that. I'm like, if you do, I'm whooping you. We gonna fight. Oh, you can't whoop me out of. Oh, hey, we'll jump you. Why would you involve yourself in it and stuff like that? He didn't did it. I told you that he was gonna do it from the beginning. I told you, don't mess with my cousin. He gonna rob you. Oh, I didn't think he would do that to me. He done robbed me. Why would he not rob you? And you gonna be on his side. He my family. You not finna do nothing to my family. I done told you not to mess with him. I told you stay away from me. And you got robbed because you didn't listen to me. If I'm around, you better not do nothing to him. I'm gonna get involved. Oh, why are you protecting the robber? Because he's still my family, and I warned you not to mess with him. Uh, okay, I done told you. If you do something to him, I'm involved. I told you not to mess with him. Man, that's bull. It is what it is. I gave you heads up and I told you. I done gave you my word. You do something to him, I'm getting in it. People don't take, hey, I done told for you don't want to get in that relationship. With my females with my no, you don't want. I warn people. I'm telling. I'm like, look, do you do what you want to do, but I'm telling you that might not be the wise thing. I'm trying to spare you. People don't listen to me, and that and they eat from the same fruit that they pick. There you go. There you go. I'm not. So people will speak on me, and so I get it. But I'm like, hey, gain from your own experience, just like they had to gain from their own experience. I'm like, but when it come to me, I'm like, people be lying on me. Oh man, like I was supposed to be this woman beater. I ain't never hit a woman. As an adult, I've never hit a woman, but women have hit me. Quite a few different women hit me because I'm this big old dude. And if I hit a woman, of course, I'm going to jail. I've never been a bully towards women. I don't get no kick off of that. And my grandmama, she would have shot me off or something like that. She watched one of my female that I dated in the past just mess me up or whatever, mess up my clothes and everything. And I got angry and stuff like that. And instead of saying something to the female, you better not say nothing. She threatened me, not the female. She watched the female do what she did to me. And I was finna just grab the woman. I wasn't finna hurt her or whatever, but I was like, stopping her. And you better not touch it. So I basically had to run from the female instead of, defend myself or hold her off or whatever. Because my grandmother, she probably would have shot me. People think I'm joking about it. I'm dead serious. My grandma sometimes would walk around Medea style, have her 38 right there in her robe, or whatever. She done hit me with broomsticks or whatever when females done stuff to me. So, yeah, that's the type of family I grew up in. Females, protected. Males, not so much. My cousin, older cousin, my mama's first cousin used to hit me all the time, drop me. She got out of the service and hit me in my gut and dropped me, and they just sitting there laughing. You know, I'm real cool with her daughters now, but she still don't like me to this day. Most of the time, I had to apologize to her for, well, I had to mend the relationship with her because she was mad at me for something she did to me. I'm like, my family is a mess to me. My family celebrates, you know, women being called fathers and stuff like that. I don't agree with that. And me saying I don't agree with it has had many people on my neck mad at me. You can't control what somebody else is saying. I'm like, I ain't trying to control it, but that's disrespectful for a woman to be called father. that a male is saying that a woman is a better father than or a child saying Happy Father's Day to a woman. That's disrespectful. But of course, that's my family, the family that I don't deal with like that because I don't accept that stuff. So I have to stay away from that stuff. That's stuff that's accepted in my family, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. That's dysfunction. That's to me, that's demonic. That's evil. But of course, my view don't mean nothing to my family. It means something in my household, but my family, that's the way they roll. They was ready to fight me. I had a whole females ready to try to jump me, and I'm laughing like y'all can't do nothing with me. But I just had to just move away because I don't fight women. But they wanted to lay hands on me because I said something or spoke up about one of the young men, saying a woman in the family was a better father than his. Anyway, well, this whole epigenetic thing, I still don't really understand it, but I do see how generational curses and how stuff, But I just wanted to talk anyway. I got up out of my bed and probably should stay asleep, but my dream just really got me. So I'm like, okay, just put it on video. This be something that I'll watch later on and maybe, get some laughs off it, but also be able to reflect on it and do some ministry towards myself. Abiyah, I thank you for this opportunity to talk to your people. I thank you just for loving on me and letting me know that you have chosen me and pre-assigned me before all of this stuff came to fruition. That despite the ups and downs of my life, you've always been there as a father to me. And that I'm learning to be the man and minister that I'm supposed to be, the kahuna that I'm supposed to be, despite having positive male role models, despite having women that made it as if women should be first. You have allowed me to step into, I guess, a level of authority, a mantle, a patriarchy that is established by you. So I thank you for that. Yada Yahuwah. Shankwil Yah, One Vision Ministry. Have a great one. Shalom.